Radio Network, the world's conscious broadcasting network. Live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio, the voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
Welcome to Best of the Best, Connect Soul to Soul. This is Psychic Medium Jill M. Jackson, the Mississippi Medium, and happy solstice we're coming into tomorrow. I have such a special guest with me this evening. She has been on my show from time to time over the years and always has rave reviews, so you have a great show in store for you this evening. We have Kathy Biehl with us, and Kathy is a professional astrologer and psychic who helps individuals and business owners make decisions and better understand and laugh about themselves, their options, and the people in their lives. She is a regular contributor to OMTimes magazine and Astrology Hub, and a tested member of Best American Psychics and Certified Psychic Society. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you. And I know we have so much to cover this evening. I'm starting to get a little bit of a scratchy throat, so please bear with me. I know that we have been talking about going over what 2017 looks like, so from an astrological viewpoint. So if it's okay with you, let's just dive right in. Can you just kind of give us an overview of what 2017 is going to look like?
It's going to be very different from this year. It will be an extraordinarily active year. There is a preponderance of, the big aspects for all the year have fire energy in them. And so emotions will be running high. People will be doing things very impulsively, very intuitively, very impassionedly, all over the map. Essentially, we're at the point of finally doing something with and about all the turmoil that we've had in our lives since at least 2012, for many people since 2008. And a lot of situations have changed in people's lives, their concepts of their foundation, and where they put their feet down, metaphorically. A lot of things have changed and left, and all of those departures and shifts have opened us to where we are now. And the energy really starts peaking this week. There is one huge aspect that repeats next year that involves the agent of order and the agent of chaos, and they're working together. So
wow.
It could go in both directions. You have a grounding cord coming down and bringing form to very individualistic blows for freedom, or going off and doing things that are the way that you know you must live your life now. And there will be the reverse, zapping structures. Zapping structures, or power coming down and trying to squelch individual expression. So very, very dynamic year. On an individual level, I would encourage people to look at what they're now capable of, what's now opening up in their life that's different than where they've been and that fits much more with who they are. Because the key word for the year, this is a biggie, and some people may need to look it up, but I'm going to use it anyway. Self-actualization. Self-actualization, moving much, much more into what's truly yours. So we've been in a multi-year process of stripping away stuff that doesn't fit or doesn't work and getting priorities down to extremely personal lists. And it will be very important in this next year to have your moral compass firmly in your hand and know what your integrity is and what your ground rules are, and live by them and go for it. A lot is still going to continue to not make a lot of sense out in the world, and things aren't going to suddenly become lovey-dovey. The sense of divisiveness, unfortunately, stands to get even worse, and so you have to be true to yourself and live by your own code and go for it. And in fact, without talking about specifics or taking a stance on this in terms of right or wrong, if you look at an organization, whatever's at the top of the organization usually trickles down and sets the tone for how all the members below are going to work. So we have at the moment a new head of the organization coming in that really doesn't care one iota for anybody else's rules. Well, guess what? We get to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like there's a lot of duality still going on, and it sounds like that there's a lot of opportunity for mirroring to go on here as well. The shadow self, for people to really look deep at the shadow self. Would you agree?
That has been an ongoing something that's been on offer for us for a long, long time. And in fact, you can look at what's come to light in the last year as things coming out into the open that were there. It's not that they were suddenly created. There's a bizarre and brazen honesty and openness that we're experiencing now. That
Absolutely.
Makes sense. There are viewpoints that previously polite company didn't talk about, but now A&E has a show about growing up Klan in the works. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's different.
Wow.
So, and a lot of these things have been. I could tell you astrologically if you wanted to have several hours and probably a number of drinks, but there's a lot. There are astrological ties to what's crawling out now and marching out now, and the 80s, the early 70s, the late 60s, the 40s, the 30s, the end of the Civil War, the beginning of the Civil War, probably even if I worked at it, women getting the right to vote. Like any certain thing where there was a split in viewpoints and one side won, in quotes, the other side didn't just go, okay, and assimilate. It kind of stayed quiet and festered. So now all the festering is coming out. Now, there's always a microcosm version of things. So what does this mean on an individual level? It's time to see really what's been crawling around in your psyche and figure out how you can marshal it and command it.
Absolutely. And I know as we go further into the show this evening, we're going to really get into some more specifics about some things that you've looked at and some really interesting dynamics coming up. We just have a few minutes left before we go to the first break, and if we can, and if you can sum up for our listeners, I know we just started Mercury Retrograde. Was it yesterday, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, so can you just spend the next couple of minutes telling our listeners, maybe giving some advice on, is this one any different than any other ones and how they might be able to survive it?
Okay, Mercury Retrograde is a time when we need to pay, or circumstances usually invite us to pay a lot more attention to words, communication, how we get around, technology breaks, things go on with cars, transportation. So this one is especially different because some stuff started coming to light right before Mercury went retrograde, and a lot of things started getting deep and possibly breaking, but they're not quite there yet, so there's a delay. There's a lot of stuff that will not become clear till the end of January. Keep in mind that there's a possible investigation going on. Remember the date, January 29. And then secondly, with this retrograde, Mars also entered the sign of Pisces on the same day. Mars is how we use our action. Pisces is the most interconnected, watery energy that there is. So haziness, fuzzy thinking, backhanded stuff, not really knowing what's going on, the possibility for, I hate to say it, deception. All of these are really strong. So what to do? Well, it's a holiday week. A lot of people are going to be traveling, even if it's just going to somebody's house for a party or for a celebration. So know that people are confused, and stuff could change on a moment's notice. So this is really the way to stay sane during a Mercury retrograde over the holidays is to allow scads of extra time, because there is no telling what could happen. And I noticed Sunday, I live outside New York City, and I was driving to a bus stop, and I got halfway there in the entire amount of time it usually takes me to get out and then on the bus, and I couldn't figure out. It was like the air was soup or something. It was quite strange. Mm-hmm. And I gradually realized, it's the Sunday before Christmas. That's the exit to a mall, and I just ditched it and drove into the city. And it was much easier, which is normally not a good thing. So things being slow with no apparent reason, and the traffic just being insane.
And it sounds like, too, with this one, and it sounds like with this one, it may have started a little bit early, and it may go on a little bit longer than the normal process.
The uncovering aspect of it will go on. Mercury stations direct on, I believe, the 8th of January, but at the end of January, it's going to meet Pluto, Lord of our psyche, Lord of the unconscious, things that are hidden, has to do with huge money, huge power. Just mark that date, January 29th.
Perfect. And we will be right back after the break with Jill M. Jackson and Kathy Biehl of Empowerment Unlimited. We have a lot more to talk about. Please join us.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
Hi, this is Shay Parker, founder of BestAmericanPsychics.com. If you are a professional psychic or medium and are looking for a group of like-minded individuals that are truly supportive of one another, Best American Psychics is the place for you. Or if you're not a psychic but you're in need of guidance regarding love, money, career, and more, please visit our directory. Each psychic is double tested and approved for accuracy, professionalism, ethics, and more. BestAmericanPsychics.com, a new league of professional psychics.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket. But it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place. And then they act so surprised when I find them. But I'm like, hello, that's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Welcome back to Best of the Best, Connect Soul to Soul. This is the Mississippi medium, Jill Jackson, and I have a very special guest with me this evening. I have Kathy Biehl of Empowerment Unlimited. Welcome back to the show, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
For those of you just joining us, Kathy is going over what 2017 is going to look like for us individually and globally from an astrological viewpoint. And Kathy is also an amazing psychic as well, so be sure to check out her website, which is www.empowermentunlimited.net. And Kathy, I just kind of want to dive in and ask you a question. And I wanted to see if you had a chance to look at the U.S. chart and see any correlations with how it pertains to Trump and his presidency and Russia, since there seems to be a lot of talk going back and forth with Trump and Russia. Have you looked at that at all?
I have about 7 charts across my lap right now. Okay, let me start by saying no matter who won the presidency, we were going to be in a time of incredible internal discord. Maximum internal discord. Uranus, which is that's the guy that the chaos, the guy that blows up structures, that causes new ways of looking at things, the revolutionary, is sitting on top of a point in the U.S. chart that is the karmic wound of our nation as a psyche. So stuff's getting stirred, and Jupiter, which expands everything in the sign of relationships and agreements and social matters, is exactly opposite. I mean, these are exact, could not get any tighter. So we are at a moment right now of incredible discomfort. Now, interestingly, where to even start with this? We have a series of eclipses next year that are going to hit some spots in the U.S. chart, particularly by next summer. They will hit the moon, which is how we view ourselves as a people. Eclipses are rebooting and resetting times. So next year we're going to be, or maybe the next 18 months, seriously revisiting who we are as a people. And this fits in with the fiery, simultaneously order-bringing and chaos-bringing impulses happening now, peaking again in May, peaking again in November. Things will be very hot by November, and there is an eclipse in August that hits this spot exactly. So August is, just remember, August, peak time. Now, when that happens, it will be pulling in stuff in Trump's chart. He has Mars, god of war, right on top of his ascendant. Big surprise. Ascendant is the way you look out in the world, how people see you. So he's got Mars in Leo right on top of a very last degree Leo ascendant, and the U.S. moon links into that in partnership house. So he has a strong tie on a visceral level to this country. And as these eclipses play out, there's stuff going on that's really, really it's not going to be an easy year for him. It may look like it is, but the influence of order is sitting on top of a part of his chart that, to me, gives me the impression of a butterfly on a specimen table with a pin through it. It wants to fly, and it cannot move. So I think there will be some strong legal repercussions for him in all of this. But at the moment, and he plays a role also in whatever happens in our exploration of who we are as a people, again with the peak time being in August. And there could be some really significant clarification that happens then. February, before then, massive revelations possible, and there are several different things firing. I said January 29th. Something is going on behind the scenes now during this retrograde that has to do with secrets and big level power and money, and something more will be revealed at the end of January. Then there are several things happening in February that bring all this to light. Now, this is where China comes in. China and Russia have very close ties to points in Trump's chart and to an extent in the U.S.'s, but he interacts with them differently. He is buddy-buddy with Putin in terms of the charts. They get along so well, but the sneaky thing is Putin's the one with the power. Trump looks up to him. And he's also snowed by him. There's a not quite like a romanticizing, putting on a pedestal vibe between them. And all this stuff in Putin's chart plays out. He's playing a role in the discord in our country.
Yeah.
And there is something also behind the scenes, machinations and things happening. And I would not be surprised, based on what I'm seeing, if Putin doesn't have something involving sex and or money on Trump. Okay, so back to China. Okay, so back to China. The thing with China is slightly different. There will be economic ramifications with China fast. And also, just because of the way things go, the way their charts interact, I think Trump is clueless as to what China is really about. I think he absolutely does not perceive what that country is in terms of its core and how it goes. And there will be economic ramifications, strong ones, probably as early as February. But I also see the probability for China taking this, holding Trump personally responsible and making it about him personally. And I don't know what they could do or what they would do, but there is an indication of personal ramifications for him because of this relationship. Now,
so go ahead.
Yeah. No. The only other thing I'm going to say is with when we get into mid-year, May into August, there is an overtone to the way things are playing out with Trump that moves into much more legal and international, and Putin's a player in it. And I don't know if this is, if you want to say it's karmic, if it's past life. Putin's Mars is close to Trump's moon and South Node. South Node's what you bring in, South Node of the moon, past life stuff. At any rate, it may look like, and he may think that they're buddies, and, Putin told me he was a genius, he said, and I'm sure Putin told him he was a genius. He can play him very, very well, and they probably have really enjoyed talking to each other and coming up with stuff, but I will not be surprised if late summer something doesn't happen where Putin plays him and gets him.
It's interesting you say that, Kathy, because I've said that psychically to a few people that I see that Putin is actually playing Trump and telling him what he wants to hear and acting as sort of a double agent, if you will. And so you're actually seeing that astrologically?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the charts.
Yeah.
Yes. And
so that
this,
sort of comes to light then in the summer?
Or there's a power play. There's something that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's playing with two extraordinarily, I want to choose my word carefully here, international counterparts to Black Ops. I don't know if, with deals and stuff, yeah, there are things that happen, but there's a level of worse than mafia possibilities in both of these situations that I would be surprised if he recognizes the potential for personal blowback in any of these.
Yeah, it's fascinating what is playing out right now, and I feel like too when you were talking earlier about the wounds of who we are as a nation, what came to mind for me are the struggles with the indigenous Americans, the Native Americans, and all that's going on now with Standing Rock. And so it's fascinating to me that all of this is finally coming to light and people are finally standing up and acknowledging what the natives have gone through and what they're still going through. And so psychically, I feel like that there's more to come and much more to come in that area. Do you see that astrologically and psychically as well?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, if there's time in the next segment, I would very much like to discuss just briefly the concept of revolution, because it's happening in many, 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 many ways already, and Standing Rock is one form that it's taking. But there are easily 5 or 6 other forms I can think of.
Yes, and we're going to be taking a short break coming up in just another minute. Kathy, why don't you tell our listeners how they can find you after the show tonight?
My website is empowermentunlimited.net, like safety net, and on Facebook, Empowerment Unlimited. And I have lots of free forecasts for the month, for each full moon, for each new moon, and a weekly podcast. It's about 7 minutes long and uses very little astrological language so you can understand what's happening.
Beautiful. Join us after the break. We have lots more to discuss. This is an amazing interview with Kathy Biehl, Jill M. Jackson, the Mississippi Medium. We will be right back after the break.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Hi, this is Vicki Snyder, the Everyday Mystic Angel. What's that, you ask? Well, it's an angel with a down-to-earth edge. And you can catch me live every fourth Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on The Best of the Best. Learn more about me and my services at www.vickysnyder.com. That's VICKISNYDER.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Best of the Best, Connect Soul to Soul. This is the Mississippi medium, Jill Jackson. I'm with Kathy Biehl of Empowerment Unlimited. Welcome back to the show, Kathy.
I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And as we were going to break, we had started discussing the Indigenous Americans, the Native Americans, and their plight. And you said you had some more to add to that, so please jump right in.
It was in context of revolution, and so let me. We're at a. There's so many ways I could take this. The next 6 years of our country are going to be determinative of what form our nation is going to be in or continue in. We're coming on what's called a return, a planetary return. When a planet comes back to the spot it was when you were born, we're coming on our Pluto return. And when this country was founded was the last time that Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn, and it's historically been a time of major transformation, shape-shifting, deep-level metamorphosis. That was trite. Metamorphosis in political and power structures. The last time, when we were formed, was the time of the American Revolution, Boston Tea Party, the French Revolution, and the cycle before that, when Pluto was in Capricorn, the Protestant Church basically split off, was created when a monk named Martin Luther went to a cathedral and tacked a bunch of theses on the door, and then suddenly Lutheranism started springing up, and there was a schism, and the church was the most powerful institution on the planet at that time. So we're coming back to our Pluto return, and the final 6 years of it are going to be not quiet, I guess is the way to put it. And so Pluto has been, for the last 5 years or so, traveling in a very harsh aspect with the other cosmic change agent, which is the guy that's in charge of all the chaos. So chaos and deep-level transformation have been pushing at each other, and now, again, I said we're at a point of how we're going to move forward from it, and massive changes starting to happen. So we're already seeing incredible strains of revolution occurring in many, many ways. 2016 started with a militia taking over a visitor center at a wildlife refuge in, I think, Oregon. And there's going to be more of that kind of thing. Standing Rock is a huge example of it, and I find it fascinating that vets stepped in and that they joined the movement, and that the movement is to protect water, and that water contamination is an ongoing issue. Flint, Michigan, for a long time, now Corpus Christi, Texas, does not have potable water, which is odd because it's on the water. It's a coastal town. Anyway, so this is, and apparently there's a pipeline that's starting to be fought in West Texas that's going across native land, although I don't believe that the water issue is part of it. It's just that they want to take it across native land. And that particular driller, Rick Perry, has some ownership in. It's going to get very interesting. So there's what's happening with the actual planet, and the fact that the nominee to head the EPA has a track record of selling off public lands. And when she ran, I don't even know what state it was in the Midwest. So there'll be an attack on that from the administration, assuming she gets put in the cabinet position. Bernie Sanders, when he lost when he was not named the Democratic candidate for the presidency, immediately that night moved his movement into a long-term campaign, and it is called Our Revolution. If you go to ourrevolution.com. So that's another form of revolution with a much, much longer tail. And then things like what the North Carolina legislature did with closed session, deciding at the last minute when their gubernatorial candidate didn't win, they would just rewrite the laws to severely restrict the power of the incoming governor. That's revolution. And the fact that Trump is now nominating pretty consistently people who want to go in and dismantle the agency that they'll be heading, that's revolution. So we're going to see it in many, many, many ways. And I'm surprised we've gone this long without ongoing, open, armed stuff happening in the streets. But people should probably open their eyes to the possibility that this is not all going to be nonviolent protests.
Yes, I agree. Kathy. And, one of the synonyms for revolution is transformation. And so, a lot of this that we're witnessing right now is leading to the transformation that we have all been wanting for quite some time. But sometimes the growing pains to get there are not pleasant.
And another way of looking at what happened this fall and where we're going fits in with that, and that is you can't be complacent anymore, all right? A lot of people woke up. A lot of people got a cosmic 2x4 between their eyes, and they realized, I have taken so much for granted, and they've felt a call to action in some way, and in all kinds of different ways. I have just from the people I know, witnessed very, very different responses. Recluses deciding that they're going to go to the Women's March in Washington. That was a big one. One person I know decided he had to do and act every single day for someone that he didn't know. So he's been volunteering in all kinds of unusual places. So there's an awakening, realizing what is most important to you. That goes very, very much with the Saturn-Uranus vibe that we have going on right now, and taking command over what you can and taking action that fits your moral compass and your ethics, and it also means this is not a time in your life to fritter things away anymore. Every day counts. It's a consciousness.
Absolutely.
It's a shift in consciousness. And that is a gift out of all this. So no more sleepwalking. And building happening with it too. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And this is a time period for us to find our tribes. And what I mean by that is find like-minded people who can help you find peace in the chaos, who can help you with whatever form that you want to participate in the revolution transformation. And I believe that this is a beautiful opportunity for all of us to, sort of make this, we have the New Year's resolutions coming up, and I feel like this is a beautiful opportunity for us to sit down and think about what we can do, what are our individual parts that we can play in this revolution, in this transformation within our country, within our global community. And so I think that there's a lot that we can do personally, and the energy of finding your tribe and finding those of like mind creates a beautiful domino effect of light and helping us assimilate beauty in the midst of this chaos.
And light amplifies light. And another way of looking at this also is, essentially we have split into two worlds. Some of us slide in and out between them, but one world is completely governed by fear. and the other one has room for compassion and empathy and the awareness of other people and love in all of its different forms. So essentially what's happening is we're creating webs or networks of compassion, empathy, unity, well, maybe, I don't even know the right word for it, connectedness, that's a better one. Networks of connectedness. And essentially those are building the new infrastructure for when the outer structures collapse from the top down.
And it's interesting. Right. And, you know, psychically I've seen this in visions for quite some time, and it's just a fascinating time to be alive during this change. And I know at the end of all of it, we are all going to have a greater awareness. We're all going to have a higher vibration. And I've said this for years, that there's going to come a time where there's not gray matter any longer. There's white and there's black, and there's really not a lot in between. And it's my opinion that we're there right now. And I feel like that's a really good thing. And like you said, the light workers, we need to shine our lights, and we need to band together, and we need to speak our truth, and we need to stand in our power and make sure that this transformation flows in the best way possible for each and every one of us. And I love what you said, Kathy, about having the unity consciousness and the connectedness and feeling like that we're all one rather than being separate in this. And I encourage all of
together.
Right, exactly. And so I encourage all of you out there to start putting the energy out there in 2017 to find your tribes. Find your tribes. And we have so much more exciting things to talk about when we come back from the break. This is the Mississippi Medium, Jill M. Jackson with Kathy Biehl. Please join us.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Best of the Best, Connect Soul to Soul. For those of you just joining us, you've missed an amazing show. You'll have to come back to my website, which is MississippiMedium.com, and listen to the podcast later. We have had some amazing revelations by Kathy Biehl, who is an unbelievable psychic and astrologer. Welcome back to the show, Kathy.
Thank you so much. I'm having a blast being here.
Beautiful. Now, I wanted to spend the last segment of the show talking about what little I do understand about astrology. Saturn and Uranus play big roles coming up over the next 12 months. Is that correct?
That's right. Saturn is the guy that wants you to be an adult and follow the rules, and Uranus is the guy that throws bricks and wants to do things differently. And interestingly, they are the traditional and the modern ruler of the sign of Aquarius, which is one of the signs going on that's involved in the eclipses next year. So Saturn and Uranus are in an easy flow and mutually amplifying flow that peaks on Christmas Eve. So we're feeling it building up now. And then they travel in that flow all of next year, and it peaks again in May and again in November. So this is the initial blast. I've been calling it 3 booster rockets, or like eating a case of Popeye spinach or something.
So Christmas Eve and then May and then November.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and this one's the wildest one.
Oh, the Christmas Eve one.
Yeah, this is the wildest one.
And you have an MP3 that our listeners can use to help work with this. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it's called Easing Transitions, and it has you review your life, and then you have a little ceremony, and you meet Saturn and Uranus, and you find out how their energies, like what the gifts of their energies are to you personally, and how you can ride this, how you can go forward with it. If you go to my page,
and how do our
there are
listeners...
2 places you can...
Yes, go ahead.
Yep. If you go to empowermentunlimited.net, there are 2 places you can find it. Up in the upper, at the top of it, there are lots of navigational links. One of them says 2016 resources. If you go there, there's a link for ordering it. And if you go to recordings and scroll down the page, there's a link for ordering it. And I think it's either $15 or $10. It's like not a bank breaker at all. And you can listen to it more than once.
Oh, beautiful. And I know that you've also been doing what you call Astro Chats with OMTime webinars. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Every other Friday at noon Eastern Time, at the new moon and the full moon, I do a Facebook Live broadcast, close to half an hour, talking about whatever is happening, and it's usually associated with the moon. And this is a companion to my course for OMTimes, online training platform called Working with the Moon. It's just a one-session discussion of the different moon phases and ideas for ways you can harness the energy of a new moon, which is when things start, and a full moon, which is a time of harvest. So if you go to the OMTimes
and how would
webinar
someone
page,
join in?
You go to if you go to Facebook, find OMTimes, that's one word, OMTIMES, webinar. Go to that page, and the Facebook Live broadcasts are there. And my next one is this Friday, December 23rd, at noon Eastern Time. And people type stuff in the comments. You can't talk directly to me, but I just go for 30 minutes, imagine.
and the best thing I would think as well for listeners to do is just sign up for your newsletter, and then that way they can be aware of what you have coming up, because I know that there's some other exciting projects that you have in the works as well. And so is that the best way for people to find out?
Yes, I have a newsletter that goes out every Monday morning with direct links to all my latest forecasts. And so if you go to empowermentunlimited.net, in the upper left, there's a little box that says join my mailing list. You can join it there.
Beautiful. And for those of you who would like to keep up with what I have going on, you can join my newsletter as well, which is free. I send it out once a month, and that is MississippiMedium.com, and you will see a link there to sign up for my monthly newsletter. And I am having some exciting mentorship programs coming up for 2017 for mediums and spiritual insights, and I will also be having new classes this year as well. So be sure to check that out on my website, which is MississippiMedium.com, and you can find Kathy, Biehl, and I both at bestamericanpsychics.com. And so would you like to just give a synopsis, Kathy, of the last few minutes here of what our listeners can look forward to in 2017?
This is the time to finally really dare and do the stuff that you've been thinking I really need to do. Whatever the voice or the urge has been building in you in the last few years, you'll just have an energy propelling you. So this is the year to do things differently, to be much more true to yourself, to take risks. And again, I said early on, the watchword word for the whole year is self-actualization, becoming more of yourself, which is mostly stripping away more and more of what is not you. It's a phenomenally empowering potential. And I have been saying for years, and it's kind of daunting to realize that I'm now living it, that many of us will be moving into, and are in fact at this moment moving into, the most fulfilling times of our entire lives, while the outer world is going to be in increasing chaos. But on a personal level, we have every possibility of doing what we really want to do with our lives and enjoying it more and more and more, and having extremely supportive, meaningful alliances as part of it. We're not supposed to do this alone. Your path is distinctive, but you do it with others.
So it sounds like that this would be a good year in 2017 for those people who are miserable in their careers and realizing that there's got to be more that they came here to do, to go ahead and start putting the energy out there to make the changes and figure out what their life purpose is and take that leap of faith and start doing it. Would you agree with that, Kathy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really, if not now, when? All right? I mean, after a point, if if the wheels have come off what you thought of reality, stop riding it. Write your own.
I like that. I like that.
Better than singing
and
singing Crazy Train.
Well, I feel like that in the crazy chaos energy, what better time, like you said, to just write your own script. If you don't like the way that your story is playing out, rewrite the story, rewrite the book. And with this energy, we have the ability to create our own destinies. And I've said this for years, as long as we are walking our paths and doing what we came here to do, the universe is going to support us in every way imaginable. And so 2017...
I would not argue with that.
Yes. And so I think just in closing the show tonight, I feel like the best advice to give everyone is to learn to find your tribes and, look on Facebook, look on meetup.com, search on the internet to find forums. If you live in a small town where maybe there's not a lot of people around you of like mind, go on the internet and find groups that you can talk to. And I feel like when we start reaching out to others of like minds that can support us on our journey, I mean, I honestly don't know what I would do without my tribe, Kathy, and you happen to be one of my people, and we all rely on each other so much. And I want to give a shout out as well to we've started a new psychic investigations group, and we have been doing work pro bono and we're helping people with unsolved mysteries, with cold cases, and we're helping bring closure to those in need. And Kathy's part of that group, and we all give of our time, like I said, pro bono, and I just want to thank you for that, Kathy. I just want to list the members. We have Sarah Bupre, Kathy Biehl, Karen Lagasse, Mark Lanehart, Deborah Livingston, Anthony Mikolajewski, Raj Munger, Becky Fether, Sally Rice, and Amy Weidman, and myself. And I just can't thank you all enough. And thank you again, Kathy, for an amazing interview, as always.
You're so welcome. I'm honored to be here.
And just to give out the website one more time to be able to find Kathy after the show, visit www.empowermentunlimited.net. That's EMPOWERMENTUNLIMITED.net. And you can find me at MississippiMedium.com. You can find both of us on Facebook, Kathy at Empowerment Unlimited and myself at Mississippi Medium. And I want to thank Kathy again. It's been an amazing show. And if you missed any of the show, you can go to my website and find the podcast after the show. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to everyone in a beautiful 2017. This is the Mississippi Medium, Jill M. Jackson. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics. Until next week, take care of yourselves and one another.